He sent a message that shook Africa. He said he will do everything possible to make sure Nnamdi Kanu is released, and he also promised justice for the victims of Kenya's deadly protests. Let's break this down. Ibrahim Traoré did not hide his words. He went straight to the point. He said Africa cannot claim to be free when some voices of freedom are kept behind bars. He mentioned Nnamdi Kanu by name, and he said it clearly. For Traoré, this was not just about Nigeria. It was not just about one community. It was about justice, fairness, and the right of people to speak without fear. He said Nnamdi Kanu's continued detention is a scar on Africa's conscience. According to him, it is not possible to silence an entire people by holding their leader. He stressed that locking up one man will not kill an idea. Instead, it only makes the idea stronger. He said the African Union must wake up and act, because silence is no longer acceptable. Traoré promised that he will do everything within his power to make sure Nnamdi Kanu is released. He said he is ready to use diplomacy, he is ready to use strong words. He said Africa must not sit down and watch one of its sons treated unfairly while the world looks away. He reminded other leaders that injustice against one is injustice against all. He warned that if leaders keep quiet when Kanu is detained, tomorrow another leader could be taken, another voice could be shut down, and the cycle of silence will continue. He said Africa cannot allow such weakness. He said leaders must protect the people, not join in oppressing them. Traoré's tone was firm. He was not begging. He was declaring. He said he has no fear to stand where others are silent. He said history will remember those who chose the side of justice. He said history will also expose those who looked away while injustice was carried out. His words cut deep, because they came from a man who is young, yet bold enough to confront what many older leaders refuse to say. He said Nnamdi Kanu's case is bigger than one country's politics. It is about the dignity of Africa. It is about the credibility of African justice systems. If leaders cannot stand up for one of their own, then how can they claim to defend their people? He said the world is watching, and Africa must stop looking weak. Traoré also spoke about freedom movements across the continent. He said leaders must understand that people are demanding respect and better lives. They are not enemies. They are citizens. And Nnamdi Kanu, whether people agree with him or not, represents the cry of a people who want to be heard. He said silencing him will never end the struggle. He promised that Burkina Faso will not be quiet. He said he will raise the issue in African meetings. He said he will speak about it on every platform where African leaders gather. He said he will push until something is done. He repeated again that he will do everything possible to see Kanu walk free. His commitment was not soft. It was direct and heavy. For many Africans, especially those who support Kanu, this was like fresh air. For years, they have shouted, protested, and begged for justice. But most African presidents avoided the matter. They kept silent, as if it did not concern them. Traoré broke that silence. He made it clear that one leader was ready to say what others were afraid to say. He said Kanu's detention has gone on for too long. He said no African should be kept in chains simply for speaking. He said disagreement should not mean imprisonment. He said dialogue is better than force, and listening is better than punishment. His words were simple but powerful. He reminded his audience that Africa has suffered too much because of silence. He gave examples of how leaders in the past allowed injustice to continue because they did not want to speak out. He said that silence destroyed trust between people and their governments. He said that silence made Africa look weak before the world. He said enough is enough. He said his duty as a leader is not only to his country but also to Africa. He said the new generation of Africans is tired of weak leadership. He said young people want action, not endless speeches. He said they want leaders who will defend them, not betray them. By standing up for Kanu, Traoré said he was standing up for every African who believes in freedom. He ended his message with strong words. He said Africa will never grow if leaders continue to jail voices they do not agree with. He said Africa must not fear debate, because debate is part of freedom. He said Konu's release will show that Africa is ready to face its own issues with courage, not cowardice. Traoré's voice carried hope, but it also carried a warning. He was telling Africa that the time for silence is over. He was telling Nigeria that the world is watching. He was telling the African Union that its credibility is at stake. And most importantly, he was telling Nnamdi Kanu supporters that they are not alone. With that, Chapter 1 was clear. Ibrahim Traoré promised to do everything possible to make sure Nnamdi Kanu is released. Not tomorrow. Not someday. But as soon as possible. His words were a promise, and they carried the weight of a leader who is not afraid to confront injustice. Ibrahim Traoré did not skip over Kenya. He faced it directly. He said the world cannot forget what happened during the protests. Young men and women went into the streets to demand a better life. They asked for fairness. They asked for leaders to listen. Instead, many of them met violence. Instead of dialogue, they met bullets. Instead of protection, they faced death. Traoré said this is not acceptable. He said no government has the right to kill its own citizens simply because they are protesting. He said leadership is about service, not oppression. He said the blood of innocent protesters is a stain that will not wash away. He said Africa must confront this, not hide it. He promised that Burkina Faso will push for justice for the victims. He said families of the dead cannot be left in silence. They deserve answers. They deserve the truth. They deserve justice. He said no African family should bury their child because of a peaceful protest. He said leaders must learn that the people they govern are not enemies. They are the reason power exists in the first place. Traoré said what happened in Kenya is not just about one country. It is about the dignity of Africa. He said if leaders continue to kill young people when they demand change, then Africa will always remain in chains. He said a continent that kills its future has no future. He asked a direct question: how can a leader sleep at night knowing that young people were shot for demanding jobs, fairness, and hope? He said such leaders are not worthy of their seats. He said those who order guns against their citizens are betraying their duty. He said power that rests on the blood of the people is cursed. His words were heavy. They were not soft. He said Africa cannot keep repeating the same mistakes. For too long, leaders have answered protest with violence. For too long, they have chosen force over dialogue. He said this cycle must stop now. He reminded everyone that Africa's strength is its young people. He said they are the engine of the continent. They are the hope. They are the future. If leaders continue to cut them down with bullets, then Africa will collapse under its own weakness. He said protecting youth is not optional. It is the only way forward. Traoré made it clear that justice is not just about courts. It is about truth. It is about accountability. He said those who gave orders during the protests must be